Imagine walking through the brightly lit, cheerful carnival, the laughter and music all around you. But beneath that vibrant facade lies a darkness so terrifying it could chill your very soul. Here are two bone-chilling, true carnival horror stories that will make you question what really happens behind the scenes of those seemingly innocent rides and games. It was a summer night like any other when I decided to visit the local carnival. The air was thick with the sweet smell of cotton candy and the excited screams of children on the rides. I had always loved the thrill of carnivals, but this time, something felt different. There was an unsettling aura around the old Funhouse that had recently been added to the attractions. The Funhouse was a dilapidated building with creaking wooden floors and flickering lights. It looked like it hadn't been touched since the 1980s. I was drawn to it, curious to see what lay inside. As I entered, the atmosphere changed immediately. The cheerful carnival music faded into eerie silence, replaced by the echo of my footsteps and the occasional distant, unsettling laughter. The first few rooms were filled with grotesque funhouse mirrors that distorted reflections in disturbing ways. I tried to laugh it off, but the laughter didn't feel right. It was too hollow, too sinister. As I moved through the twisting maze, the corridors seemed to stretch endlessly, and I started feeling like I was being watched. My heart pounded with every step. Then I came across a room with a single, old-fashioned carousel. The music was a slow, haunting tune, and the carousel horses, though stationary, seemed to have a malevolent glint in their eyes. I hesitated but felt compelled to continue, my curiosity overpowering my fear. In the next room, the lights flickered even more violently, casting erratic shadows on the walls. That's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Scratches on the walls. They were fresh, as if someone had tried to claw their way out. I tried to shake off the dread, telling myself it was just part of the attraction. But the true terror began when I reached the final room. It was dark, illuminated only by a dim, flickering light bulb. In the middle of the room stood an old, dusty coffin. The lid was slightly ajar, and as I approached, I could feel a cold draft emanating from within. My curiosity got the better of me, and I slowly pushed the lid open. Inside was a tattered, decaying clown costume. The face paint was smeared, and the eyes seemed to follow me. My breath caught in my throat as I realized the costume was stained with what looked like blood. Panic set in, and I bolted for the exit. The maze of corridors seemed endless, the walls closing in around me as I ran, my footsteps echoing louder and louder. When I finally burst out into the fresh air, I was trembling, my heart racing. The carnival had already started to close down for the night, and the once bustling grounds were eerily quiet. I glanced back at the funhouse one last time. The flickering lights had stopped, and the entrance was dark. I could have sworn I saw a shadow move behind one of the windows. I never went back to that carnival, and to this day, I wonder what really happened in that funhouse. Some say it was just an elaborate prank, while others believe something far more sinister lurked behind those walls. All I know is that my experience there left me with an unshakable fear of carnivals, and a chilling reminder that sometimes the darkest horrors lie hidden behind the most innocent facades. It was supposed to be a fun-filled evening at the county fair, a place where I had spent many joyful nights in my youth. But that night, the carnival was different. An unsettling feeling hung in the air as I arrived with a group of friends, eager for a night of thrills and laughter. We decided to start with the Ferris wheel, hoping to ease into the evening. As we ascended, I noticed a peculiar sight. A lone clown standing by the carnival's edge, near the abandoned stalls. His costume was old-fashioned, with faded colors and a sad, almost sorrowful expression. His eyes, hidden behind smeared face paint, seemed to follow us as we rode higher. I mentioned it to my friends, but they brushed it off as part of the carnival's charm. After the Ferris wheel, we wandered around, checking out various attractions. The atmosphere was festive, but every now and then I would catch sight of the same clown, always at a distance, watching us from different spots. I began to feel uneasy, especially when I noticed he was always alone, never interacting with the other carnival goers. Later, as the night grew darker, we decided to check out a maze attraction. It was a dark, winding labyrinth with creepy decorations and eerie sound effects. We entered the maze, and as we navigated its twists and turns, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. My friends laughed it off, but I was on edge. In the middle of the maze, the lights flickered, and a chilling silence fell over us. We were in a narrow corridor when I saw him, the clown, standing motionless at the end of the hallway. His eyes seemed to glow in the dim light, and he didn't move as we approached. My friends started to laugh nervously, thinking it was part of the attraction. As we got closer, I noticed something disturbing. The clown's costume was not just old. It was dirty and stained, as if it had been abandoned for years. His face paint was smeared, and his eyes seemed lifeless. I felt a chill run down my spine. I turned to my friends, but when I looked back, the clown had disappeared. We hurried out of the maze, and I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. I tried to enjoy the rest of the evening, but the clown's image haunted me. We decided to head to the carnival's edge to grab some food before leaving. As we walked, I glanced back one last time and saw him again, standing near the abandoned stalls, but this time he was closer. His face was now visible, and it was no longer just an unsettling mask. It was the face of someone long gone. I felt a shiver of recognition. The clown's face was eerily similar to an old photograph I had seen years ago, of a carnival performer who had mysteriously vanished from a local fair decades earlier. The story went that the performer had disappeared under strange circumstances, leaving behind only rumors and whispers of a ghostly presence. As I turned to my friends to share my fears, I noticed they were pale and silent, staring at something behind me. When I looked back, the clown was gone. In his place, there was a tattered carnival flyer from decades past, featuring a clown who looked exactly like the one we had seen. We left the carnival in a hurry, and I didn't return to that fairgrounds for many years. Every time I think back to that night, I can't help but wonder if the clown was truly a ghost, or if something far more sinister was at play. The county fair was never the same, and the memory of that phantom clown still sends chills down my spine.